Hey, I'm Loki, and welcome back to the Lair. Today we're going to be talking about campaign lethality, the debate of the decade between older and newer members of this hobby, and quite frankly, the discussion is not so black and white. On one side, you have traditionalists, who, as an example, typically believe that traps should be allowed to kill your character if you fail a saving throw. On the other hand, you have modern gamers who believe that if a character is going to die, it should be either during a boss fight with a BBEG or powerful henchman, or a situation that advances and elevates the story and the plot. What side are you leaning on? Let me know in the comment section below to push this video out to more people like you. This discussion is interesting, and because of it, I think there's always going to be a vast market for new TTRPGs to join this scene, which is honestly just good for everybody. We've got games that are spread out across a vast spectrum, like D&D 5e and Pathfinder, which are quite firmly on the side of kind of modern gaming. And then you've got games like Old School Essentials and Dungeon Crawl Classics, to name a few. Games like Shadow Dark, which I like very much, toes the line somewhere in the middle, maybe leaning a little bit more towards OSR than modern, or more towards traditionalist than modern. And it's not too hot, it's not too cold. Try and figure out which one is which. A lot of this discussion comes from the mentality of people playing and running games. If you invest into your characters and create concepts of depth, then it's more likely that you're going to have higher expectations when it comes to the things that your character is able to do. On the other hand, if you create a character in 10 minutes and, just use a generator or roll up some dice, pick a name and a class, then it's assumed that you're going to probably be less invested in your character and more comfortable with the idea of your character having a gruesome and horrific death. And death is a really big subject in all of this, as I'm sure you guys can imagine. People on the modern side argue that if a character dies, it can derail a story. I wish this wasn't something that happened, but it does sometimes actually happen. Sometimes character death can derail a story, especially in a grand campaign with this kind of epic proportions and expectations. I ran a campaign where one of the players was the prince of a dwarven kingdom that the players were trying to take back, fighting back and reclaimed by the orcs. If that dwarven prince had died, it probably would have derailed the story quite drastically, and people might not have wanted to continue, I think the thing is that it creates so much complexity to this conversation, and there are so many people who are just sitting on the fence, and I'd like to think that I'm probably one of them. I enjoy the excitement, the danger, the thrill of campaigns and adventures where the stakes are high, and a random group of goblins could kill half the party and capture the rest. But I also like the idea of long-term storytelling, where fledgling adventurers can become great heroes over time. And I'm not saying that this isn't possible. It's very possible to do with a basic character and have them become something incredible over the course of the campaign, as this was done a lot in the older editions of D&D. It's just that a lot of modern players don't believe that old school systems actually allow for long-term storytelling. They think it's very deadly, which isn't necessarily really true. It's always going to be down to the Dungeon Master's style to dictate whether a game is going to be deadly or not, right? I found in more recent years that some players need to be invested in their characters in order to want to play them. And I think that's absolutely fine. It just makes it really frustrating and difficult when their characters die. I've had players flip out, complain, call me a bad DM if their character dies, and I'm not going to lie, it really doesn't make me as a dungeon master excited to run a game for you if you're being a little baby about your character, I had one of my players recently, a completely different story, but I had a player recently last week who got aged 30 years by the ghost's horrifying visage ability. If any of you guys know that, I'll probably pop it on the screen for you. And he wasn't happy in or out of character about it, and he's playing a human, right? So you can probably understand why he went from like 28 to 58 or something. He had to justify at the table his reason for wanting to continue the adventure with the party rather than leaving the dungeon to find a cleric or a mage. And as soon as I told him that I wouldn't allow the 24-hour restriction to force him to play an old guy for the rest of the campaign, he got a little bit more comfortable and he relaxed a bit. But he didn't really seem very happy that I used a monster from the monster manual in a dungeon full of undead. I sorted him out a new token for his older self, and he got into character, and it ended up being really, really interesting and really fun for pretty much everybody. He basically went from being Jaime Lannister, like a paladin version of Jaime Lannister, to Barristan Selmy, and I think that was pretty cool. I think no matter what, D&D is a lot more fun when you don't really worry as much about things, and you just see where the story goes. I'm curious to see what you guys think as individuals, and if any of you guys would like to respond to a small questionnaire, which I'm going to post in the description. You can just copy and paste it and put it up as a comment for this video. I'd really appreciate it. I'd like to see what you guys think. The questions go as followed. Should a trap be able to kill a player? Yes or no? Can random encounters be hard/deadly in difficulty? Yes or no? Should backstories be short or long? Short, long. Should Basilisks and Medusas be used in TTRPG play despite being able to petrify a player permanently? Yes. No. I mean, obviously semi-permanently you can reverse it, but it's a bit of a ball ache really unless you're a high-level character. Should ghosts be used in TTRPG play despite being able to age and potentially kill a player from one failed save? Yes or no? Is it fair to use spells like Power Word Kill and Finger of Death on your players? Yes or no? Thanks for watching today's video where I discuss the subject of campaign lethality. If you enjoy these videos, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. And consider joining our public Discord where we discuss topics like this and more. I'll see you guys next time on Loki's Lair. Until then.